Hello, this is Andrew Merritt with ProLiance Orthopedic Associates. Today we have a video of a medial meniscus root repair. Now this is a special type of injury to the meniscus where the meniscus, that as it's attached into the back of the bone, pulls off and destabilizes the entire meniscus. These can be challenging repairs, and this video goes over a step-by-step repair of that meniscus. Thank you for watching. We start with visualization on the inside portion of the knee joint, and here you can see I have a probe showing the medial meniscus. Now that portion of the meniscus should be firmly attached into the bone, connecting the back of the meniscus down into the tibia. And what you can see here is that the meniscus is unstable and pushed out of the knee joint behind the knee. This creates a lot of additional pressure on the inside cartilage of the knee when you walk. Now what we're doing is clearing up the old degenerative tissue from the root insertion. So the root means the bone insertion of the meniscus, and it's a critical portion of the meniscus to function, and so we have to clean up this area to attach it back down into the bone. Here you can see once we've cleared it up, and the back meniscus, which I'm probing right there, should be attached down into the bone. Now the consequence of these root tears is that the meniscus now is unstable in the back and actually just falls out the back of the knee. This does not protect the cartilage at all, and so we need to bring it back down to what we call the footprint, which is the bone that is being identified in the back of the knee. The way that we accomplish this is by drilling a couple of tunnels from the front portion of the knee through the tibia into this footprint. And here you can see one of the pins coming up into the knee joint. And it'll take just a second here where I clear off some of the fluid from the knee with the suction device here. And what you can see is that there is a pin that is placed on the far side of the footprint. And another pin will be placed more closer to the meniscus, and the sutures will then be placed into the meniscus and brought down through this tunnel. It's important to spread these two pins out as wide as possible so that it can cover the entire footprint when eventually the meniscus is pulled down. Here you can see I placed the second pin into the appropriate location on the inner side of that footprint. So that space between will be where the meniscus is brought down to its footprint. Now getting sutures through the meniscus can be a bit of a challenge. Here is a device that we use to puncture the meniscus with a very heavy suture that we call meniscal tape. And what this does is brings the meniscus, or firmly attaches to the meniscus. Now I bring the suture through the meniscus and out the knee, and what I'm doing right here is actually tying these and configuring them outside of the knee, so it takes just a second. But what you will see is that this comes back into the knee in what we call a luggage tag configuration. So imagine putting a tag on a piece of luggage and looping it around the meniscus. That's what we're doing right there, where you see the second suture being placed. Now I will make sure that the knot of that luggage tag actually goes underneath the meniscus, so it's pulling straight down when we eventually bring this over to the footprint. And there are the two sutures that are going to be used to pull the meniscus back to the footprint. Once this is accomplished, we then pull the sutures through each of those tunnels respectively. Now this is a passing device that we place through the tunnel that you will see I feed the sutures that were placed into this passing device that will then be brought out the tunnel. Again, it's important to spread out the sutures just like we spread out those tunnels so that there's a broader footprint of insertion into the area of bone. The meniscus doesn't naturally have great blood supply, so we really need firm fixation with the sutures and a good healing bed of bone for it to heal down to. Here you can see now I'm going to start pulling on the passing device and actually pull the suture into that tunnel. Now with a little traction on the sutures, you can see how this pulls nicely into the footprint. So those two sutures will anchor the back of the meniscus, and you can see the meniscus is not only pulled into the footprint, but actually pulled more into the joint where it can actually function as a shock absorber. Now, going back real fast to the beginning before we did a repair, you can see how the meniscus is out the back, and we can actually see over the edge of the tibia to the back of the knee. I will now fast forward back to, with the sutures in place, how this pulls the meniscus forward. So now these sutures are now tied over the bone on the front portion of the knee, and you can see how we can no longer see the back of the plateau, the outer side of the knee joint. That's because the meniscus is pulled forward and firmly into its attachment point, and now the cartilage is buffered by this meniscus to help provide both stability and shock absorption. This is a standard medial meniscus root repair done arthroscopically. This is Andrew Merritt from ProLiance Orthopedics. Thank you for watching.